the concept that everything is energy. And one of the things that like intuitives are doing the most is that they are reading energy, right? So like when you go to a reading, you're they're either reading you, like your own energy, or they are reading um a being that like hangs out with you, or they can be reading all sorts of crazy shit as well, which is like why we will learn to make sure that we're reading the right things in this in this class. But basically, like those of us who can connect to beings or anything like that is basically like we have a sense for their energy and we're able to read energy. So we will spend a lot, like we're going to spend some time on reading energy. And even when you go into the Akashic records and you start learning about past lives and all that stuff, you are basically like reading an energy. That's what you're doing. So the only thing that's tricky about energy is that you can't see it. So it's just like a kind of like a wave, you know, like a wavelength is the way that it really appears, but we're reading something that is unseen. So we're like learning to be a little bit more precise with our ability to read energy. You guys are probably, everybody is always to some degree reading energy. You know, we just don't know we're doing it, but we're just like learning how to do it on demand and in a precise way. So the next topic in lesson 2 was reading through our perception, which is just the concept that like, you know, you're going to come with your own humanness, and like you always kind of have to be a little bit of aware of that. There is a way to bypass your humanness when reading people or reading energy, and that is like setting the intention to be an empty vessel. Till this day I still pray for that, because you know, your life is your own healing journey is going to continue. I was going through something really hard in the last soul teacher group. Personally, I was having a, you know, like my own 2020 moment, and I had to show up like for all those readings and all those things. And what you do is you basically like leave your human self to the side, and you're just like you're just connecting to your higher self. And so that's why like my prayer before I start any of my work, or before I start any of the day, whenever I'm sitting with a client or teaching or sitting with you guys, I'm just setting the intention that please, like, may I be empty. Like, I would like to empty myself so that I can receive and be like a, you know, be an instrument for the person, and also an instrument of peace, like through God and what I, you know, what I believe I'm connecting to. So I empty myself, and it really does feel that way. Like by the time I'm out of the session, or by the time I'm out of talking to you guys, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm so present with you. So you just know that if you're not really like, if you're not always setting the intention to empty yourself when you're doing this work, some of your like self-doubt and things like that are going to come in. So just you know that you can be, there's like almost two versions of you. There's going to be like the crazy version of you that's like scared and going through its own healing and all that kind of stuff, but there's a way for like the wise version of you to show up with your clients and your sessions and all that kind of stuff. So by really connecting and emptying that time, and you might not be able to be emptied for too long, but you can probably be empty for at least an hour when you start doing this work. Okay, there's just more, you know, the thing about this work is that you can read the same book over and over again, but like something else sticks out to you because of like your own growth in this work. So like, you know, get to know them as much as you can, and but know that maybe 6 months from now you may want to read them again, or maybe you see a client who has like a really bad, you know, solar plexus problem, and that might take you down a path of wanting to learn a little bit more about the solar plexus. So which also brings us to the idea that like we can't compare ourselves here at all. Some of us are going to have better handles on different centers, which is funny because some of you may have already like if you guys were here last Tuesday, we had Natalia, who is she's a business coach, and she has spent a lot of her time like in mindset work. So when she reads a crown chakra or a third eye chakra, it looks like she's like so talented, but it's because like her work has been about the brain for the last few years, so she knows it really well. And some of you, like Kat, I have a feeling like she'll probably be able to read the sacral really well, because actually she's a physical therapist, and that is the area that she works with, like that lower pelvis. So we have to kind of know that we're all coming from different places, and if you've been working on your own self-esteem, you can probably read a solar plexus really well because you've been working on it yourself. So you may be stronger in some areas and then weaker in others, but that's okay. And it also may just show like kind of what you're meant to be doing also. So we're going to do our best to not compare throughout this process. And you'll see at the end you won't be comparing at all, but in the beginning you may, especially for my overachievers. And you'll see like as we practice together. I know you guys had a practice. You've already had both your practice circles, right? Did anybody? Okay, I'd love to hear about that in a second. So you'll see like through the practicing and all that, it'll get stronger for sure.